So, I had this idea for a gimmick, okay? So my idea is we have a wrestler whose one parent is a country singer, and the other parent is a Native American. And his gimmick name is Tatonka Donk Badonka Donk.
Oh, Jesus.
I smell money on this one.
Woo. Let me write that down.
Tatonka Donk Badonka Donk. This is going to be a revolutionary idea. Guarantee it. All right. Now, what we watched last night was a show called New Japan Fighting Spirit Unleashed. It was actually in the U.S. It was Walter Pyramid in Long Beach, California. The announcers were Jim Ross and Kevin Kelly, and I was so happy to hear Jim Ross.
Woohoo!
Because I actually knew that we'd have an announcer who was worth a crap. No offense, Kevin Kelly, but you desperately need some personality as your second partner because, wow.
Something to lie.
He knows, he has good knowledge. It's just that, wow, he's so dull if he doesn't have somebody to bring him up.
True.
So, before we start, I'd like to say that the show itself was the best one we watched in a good long while. And even the worst match was still okay.
True.
So, anything else you want to add before we go in?
It aired on 9/30/2018.
Okay. So the first match was Roppongi 3K, which is Rocky, Sho, and Yo in a 6-man tag versus Jushin Thunder Liger, ACH, and the Funky Weapon Taguchi. This was basically a comedy match. The big spot being that Taguchi's ass is a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
Not a funky, maybe a funky weapon, but it was dangerous in this match. He would be like, do the running ass of doom. Then somebody poked him in the butthole, and he gave it triple ass bumps to everybody, and then back and forth, banging him with his butt off the ropes. And then the end of the match, the Ass Master pins Romero after something called a dodone, where he drops the guy on his shoulders. What did you think of this match?
I thought it was entertaining more for the comedy aspect than the actual wrestling.
Normally, I don't like comedy wrestling in this, but it was still funny, even though it was really dumb.
True, but the guys made they were so happy about what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
And so you just couldn't help but enjoy their craziness.
I guess it just never passed that point to me where I'm just like, oh God, this is horrible. It was more like, this is dumb, but it's at least funny.
It started the show off on a good note. Laughter and happiness, so from there on, it could
And
only
at least
get
you
better.
could theoretically see how someone running their ass into you would hurt.
Well, especially if they hadn't taken a bath.
We'll talk about that more when we get to the Killer Elite Squad match.
Oh, Stinkmaster, got it.
Yes. So, match 2 was Adam Page and Chase Owens representing the Bullet Club versus the Addiction. I mark out when I see the Addiction. Daniels and Kazarian are awesome, and their group is the SCU now, along with Scorpio Sky, although he wasn't there tonight. But it was a very good match, especially once the Addiction took over, as they were a great tag team when they started tag teaming together, and they've only gotten better over the years. Even though you could tell that Daniels has having some kind of leg issues. His knee was really wrapped up, and he was hobbling sometimes when he got up, but it didn't seem to slow him down that much when they were doing their moves. And the end of the match, Addiction won with the best Meltzer ever, which is a tombstone pile driver. So I really enjoyed this. I love Daniels and Kazarian, and even though Daniels is like almost 50 years old, he's still a pretty good wrestler.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's a lot to. But so you got any comments about this one?
Not really. Really good match. I don't like Adam Page and Chase Owens. I don't really have anything vested there with the Addiction. They are always a pleasure to watch.
They always look like they're having fun.
Yes. You know, Kazarian has trimmed down, and I think he's better now than he's ever been.
Yeah.
Physical-wise, and on the mic, he has really learned and improved with the help of Daniels, because Daniels is great on the
And
mic.
they always seem like they're really good friends in real life. Whether they are, I don't know, but it seems like it.
And they seem to be having a hell of a good time.
Oh, yeah. So the next match was Goto and the Super Best Friends. South Park wants their gimmick back, guys.
Yeah.
It was Chuck E. T. and Trent Beretta, and then they were facing off with the other three, which is Jeff Cobb, Chris Sabin, and Flip Gordon. who looked like he dipped into the Stank Master's stash of not bathing.
You left out Goto.
Did I say? I thought I said Goto at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Goto, Chucky T, and Beretta
Alright,
versus Jeff Cobb, Saban, and Gordon.
Sounds good.
This match was really nuts. Basically, Chucky T, Beretta, Saban, and Gordon did a whole bunch of just crazy action and not just all over the place. It was hard to follow kind of what's going on, but I mean that in a good way. And Cobb and Goto would come in and do the bruiser spots. Although they also did some athleticism because they're both athletic despite being a little bit bigger. Goto bigger sideways as far as stoutness, and Cobb was kind of chunky, to say the least.
He's developed a belly.
Yeah, so... And Cobb was, for anyone who doesn't know, and I think I've said this on other shows, but Cobb is the same person as Monster Matanza on Lucha Underground. And I love that character because it reminds me of the old school Undertaker and Kane. And those are my favorites when I was a kid. So basically, after a lot of action, Cobb murders Chucky T with the Wrath of the Gods and pins him in the middle of the ring. That I did mark because I just had flashbacks to Lucha Underground.
He was awesome in Lucha Underground.
I just want to say, Netflix, where's Lucha Underground Season 3? We need it.
Yes, it's tons of fun. I mean, it's kind of like watching a wrestling soap opera. You've got this underlying plot of craziness and totally...
And then a lot of really good wrestlers.
Right, so it's just great. You get a little bit of both.
I think wrestling is best when you've got a lot of the Gaga in there. And when you have good wrestlers with the Gaga, it's about as good as it gets. So, anything else you want to say about this one?
I will say that the matches at the beginning were really, really short and filled with all kinds of craziness, so that kind of made it go really quickly. Like, this match was 12 minutes. The first one that we talked about was 8.
Are we actually keeping track of the minutes?
Well, JR was talking, and
JR
I thought, that's kind of interesting, because I thought it was longer. Yeah, it was just so good that the time flew by.
That's fair. So. Yeah, because I think you might be taking this more seriously than me if you're actually whipping out a stopwatch or something.
Gosh, no.
That's for Dave Meltzer.
True.
Like, that's way more seriously than I want to take it. So, the next match was Stank Master Lance Archer and Davey Boy Jr. with Zack Sabre in a 6-man tag against Los Ingobernables de Japón, Sonata, Evil, and Naito. So, of course, it was a pretty good match because all the guys are good wrestlers in this match, and although Sabre looks like he's got no meat on him whatsoever, but he's still really good. He's so thin. He looks like a giant toothpick.
True. He is lean.
Yeah.
Very lean.
So, at the very beginning, before when Sonata, Evil, and Naito got in the ring, they turned their backs on their opponents, so Sabre, Davey, and Archer jumped them, of course.
It's like an open invitation, man.
Yeah, and that got him some boos. And Davey Boy this is the most I've ever seen him play to the crowd and actually show personality. Mm-hmm. So Davey, keep that up, because he was really healing out. It was beautiful.
Yeah, he was doing really well, and he's usually so quiet and
stoic.
Exactly.
He really needs to show that personality more to get over. But it got really good. The crowd got really into it when Naito got the hot tag, and they were just going at a really good clip at that point. At the end, it was Sabre and Evil in the ring, and the storyline is that Evil just can't figure out Zack Sabre, and this time Sabre rolled him up and pinned him with this leverage pin where he rolled him up and then rolled over him, kind of like it's not like it's exactly the same, kind of like the Shawn Michaels pin on Chris Jericho in WrestleMania 19. But good stuff. And then after he actually flicked off the crowd while he was rolling him up. So 10 out of 10 troll points for Sabre on that one. And after the match, the Killer Elite Squad, Archer and Davey, beat up the Young Lions on the outside, which seems to be their gimmick. What'd I miss?
Not a thing. It was a very good match. It was fast and smooth.
Yeah, no complaints here. Good stuff. Kept my attention. So then we get another tag match, which I will say one thing. New Japan really loves tag matches. I'm not complaining. It's like the opposite of WWE, where they seem to hate tag matches. So we got Jay White and Gato versus Tanahashi and Kushida. And basically the crowd was pissed at Gato for turning on Okada after all these years. So he was getting the biggest heat. So for the majority of the match, it was the heat was on Tanahashi, White, and mostly Jay White beating him up. Before he got the hot tag to Kushida. The end of the match was, as almost every Jay White match is, some chicanery.
Always.
So Gato pulled out his brass knuckles, hit Tanahashi in the head while the ref was distracted, and then White hits his finisher and pins him. And White milked the booze and really just fostered that hatred as best he could, getting some "fuck you" switchblade chants.
And while they're screaming this at him, he's blowing kisses at them.
That was good.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Really
Props to White for that one. That was good.
That
and
was
then he
good.
cut a promo saying that New Japan fears him becoming the champion and having 2 foreigners in the main event at the Tokyo Dome. So it was fine. It was more storyline match, and they beat Tanahashi, but they did it in a way to not make him look weak, because in normal wrestling, if you get hit with the brass knucks, that generally should end the match, because if you really got hit with brass knucks, you'd be unconscious for at least a few seconds.
Exactly.
Although,
It was fun.
unless it's Roman Reigns, then he'll just kick out at 1.
Oh, God.
Or John Cena.
I
had-
Super Reigns and Super Cena.
Yeah, of course. I had to go there. I'm sorry. Because I always remember that. It was one match where Reigns got hit with the brass knucks and then kicked out like immediately, and I'm like, oh my god. But anyway, so good match. Any comments on that one?
Not a thing. You covered it.
You're really killing it here.
Oh, really? Oh, damn. Well, you forgot the hair count, man.
Oh yeah, there we go. See, that's what.
Jeez.
Hey,
What's wrong with
you know, if I
That's
just
my best part with Jay White, because I really
Jay
don't
White,
like
what
it.
was our Jay White official hair flip count?
28.
28. Very good. Very good. That's more like his higher standards.
Exactly, man. He's followed down the count. Jeez.
It's not quite as bad as it used to be when he had his hair half long, half short, though. He had even more flips then.
Oh, God.
But he's still keeping up the trend, keeping it all up. All right, so next match was a match that I've seen several times, and these guys are obviously really familiar with each other by now, which is Will Ospreay versus Marty Scurll, and it was I think it was a semifinals match for the junior heavyweight tournament.
Correct.
It's because the title had to be abdicated when the one dude broke his neck. Can't remember his name.
Horrible.
Dude with the stuffed animal. Do you remember his name?
I can't remember his name.
Oh. But anyway, so these guys did some really ridiculous stuff. Like, they were flying all over the place. First it was Ospreay taking control, then Scurll would take it back, and then after they both had a long segment, it was like constantly changing the advantage back and forth. I took a note of a couple of spots because that's what this match was a giant spot fest with some small moments of selling in between. A sunset flip where the guy was on the outside of the ring. So let's see. I think it was Ospreay. Jumped over him on the outside, gave him a sunset flip into a power bomb from the apron to the floor.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that without killing each other, but that was nuts. And then there was a full Nelson suplex where Scurll hooked both of his arms and then gave him the suplex off the top rope into the ring.
It's a miracle they didn't kill
That's
each
a
other.
broken neck waiting to happen.
Scary.
And at the end of the match, Scurll won with a movie called The Graduation. So that match was really good, but just total insanity. And at some point, I just got worried that they were going to kill each other.
Truly.
So did I miss anything about that one?
I have written down about that look he had,
Oh.
Ospreay.
Go for it.
Oh, it looked, I swear to God, it looked like he'd just seen an exorcism. It was just horrible.
Oh, that's
It
what
was,
Ross said, yeah.
Yeah, it looked, comparison to McMahon when he did that one,
It was him hulking up. That's when he did the facial expression.
totally scary, man.
At some points, he growled like one of the werewolves on Vampire Diaries.
Kept waiting for it to turn.
Yep. And he kind of has a fading resemblance to Klaus Michelson. So.
Maybe a little bit. The problem with him, though, is if he keeps going like he's going, he's going to kill himself.
He's already had neck issues.
Yeah, I mean...
No surprise with the
No.
crazy crap he does. I mean, Ospreay is an amazing athlete. It's just that he needs to mix in more selling and slow some stuff down in between those moves in order to keep from killing himself at a young age.
Truly, it's kind of scary. I'm afraid he'll hurt himself.
Yeah, but anyway. So the next match was the Young Bucks versus the Gorillas of Destiny, which is Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa.
Okay, and this was for the titles.
Yes, this was for the the heavyweight tag team championships, which is it's kind of interesting to see that they have a division there, which I'm not used to. I don't think any other company has that, a junior tag team championship and a heavyweight. They may have back in the day, but not anymore. But New Japan does. And the big story was the Young Bucks have risen to the heavyweight division despite not actually being heavyweights, because they probably don't weigh any more than I do. So the very beginning was both the Guerrillas were stalling and the Bucks were trying to build the crowd sympathy. They would shove each other like kids. And then, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes into the match, Matt Jackson of the Bucks had a back injury, which set up the heat spot.
Matt was complaining about a seizure in his back. This has happened to him before. So it wasn't anything new, but it was something to stall and give them a point of which to beat him up at, basically. That was
let the Guerrillas take the advantage.
Right. It was giving him the one up on him. So it was a little interesting to watch. I don't really care for the Guerrillas of Destiny. I think they're just kind of overrated. It's more mouth than actual movement and talent. And the Bucks, of course, their stuff's a little choreographed, but I give them kudos on athleticism and enthusiasm.
Now, basically, the ref totally just lost all control of this match. Everybody was in the ring at all times. It might as well have just been a tornado match because everybody just got in whenever they wanted to.
Oh, I think the one move you need to mention is the table one.
Oh, God, yeah.
So horrible.
So Matt was up on the top rope, and they shoved him off through a table. But the thing is normally when you go through a table, and I'm not a worker, but the table is supposed to break your fall to a degree so that it's not as dangerous. But the problem was this table he went through it like a knife through butter. It didn't look like he broke anything other than possibly his back when he hit the mat. It looked brutal.
It looked really bad.
And you could see that he had a big notch and a bruise starting up by the end of the match. So hopefully it wasn't as bad as it looked, but ugh. It was definitely cringeworthy. Normally the tables, you can tell that it doesn't stop their fall, but it slows it a bit.
Down, and this
just went and sometimes even worse is if the table doesn't give it all and you just hit it straight on. That actually happened and injured somebody in an indie show not too long ago.
Yeah.
It really messed him up.
Horrible.
But the surprise win was by the Guerrillas when they hit they called a gun stunner on Matt Jackson for the pin, and they became the new heavyweight tag team champions. Because the Bucks were in their hometown, so this felt like WWE style. If you're in your hometown, you gotta lose. Or we're gonna humiliate you.
Exactly.
We're both.
Usually it was both.
Yeah. Jim Ross joined the Kiss My Ass Club, things like that.
Yeah, it was really ugly.
At least this wasn't like that. They just lost the match. But, at any rate.
It was a good match.
It was
entertaining.
Fine. It was fine. It was one of my least favorite matches on the show, which is more just was not an indictment of the match so much as this was a really good show.
Yeah, the quality of the show was excellent.
Yeah, there wasn't any match that was bad. The only one if you don't like comedy wrestling, then you might hate the first match. But if you just skip that, then you're good. Actually, the next match was my least favorite on the show, but at least I found something to entertain me. So in between, we got this hype package for the Juice Robinson Cody Rhodes storyline. So Juice is the U.S. champ, and Cody Rhodes wants to win another title as he tries to win as many championships as he can.
And of course, they didn't forget to tell you that he was an NWA champion.
Oh, like 100 times.
100 times, I swear.
Yeah.
Tattooed
Cody Rhodes,
head.
NWA champion, kicks out. Cody Rhodes is the NWA champion. Cody Rhodes is the NWA champion, and he does this. And it's like, okay, we got it. He won the belt that his dad won. Except when his dad won it, the belt was actually a lot more important than it is today.
True.
So, most of it, Cody Rhodes, if y'all haven't seen him, basically is an old school heel. Occasionally he'll do something really athletic, but most of the time he just cheats in really devious ways, including using his wife or eye gouging, distracting the ref, all the old school spots. Cody uses them, and then he taunts the crowd, sometimes in really funny ways, which is basically what I enjoyed about this match was Cody messing with the crowd. Because I'm not really fond of either of their in-ring wrestling as far as technically they're not that... I don't think Juice is any good, and Cody Rhodes is smart enough to wrestle in a way that it probably won't get hurt, which... good for him. He's made the most out of what he has. and that's what you should do. And the fact that he's able to succeed outside of the WWE is good stuff. At the end of the match, Cody pinned Juice Robinson after a superplex. So he was the one actually taking the move, but he managed to roll him up with an inside cradle and pin him anyway. So we had a new U.S. champion. The crowd at some points was chanting for Brandy. I'm not sure if they were just bored or and this was at the very beginning of the match.
She only had half her clothes on, so maybe it was because she only had half her clothes on.
Well, that's possible. But what'd you think of this match?
I thought it was okay. I'm not a big Rhodes fan, and I'm not a big Robinson fan, but it was entertaining. And like you said, I think Rhodes has become a very good cheater. And so for that reason alone, he entertains me because I never know what bullshit he's going to pull out.
Yeah, it's not quite like the levels of Eddie Guerrero or anything,
no.
but it's still, I props to him for some creative cheating. Mm-hmm. So, he's the new U.S. champion. Juice was disappointed, and he got some good crowd reaction after the match to try to make him feel better about losing the title. So we go to our main event, which was a really good match, a tag team match. We have Kazuchika Okada and Tomohiro Ishii versus Kenny Omega and Ibushi, the Golden Lovers. Which when they said that, I immediately thought of Golden Showers. And the way they acted towards each other, I'm like, yep, that's what's gonna happen right after the match. Well, I'm not judging you, but I just wouldn't want anybody to pee on me personally.
The other part of that was the announcers kept driving that.
Oh yeah, they're like
home.
the special relationship.
Bond.
Yeah, they didn't really
bond.
explain what that bond was,
no.
But obviously they were very familiar with each other in the ring and everything, and they were comfortable as a tag team. And that was the part of that was I think them trying to drive that point home that they were the comfortable tag team together, and that's why they won the match. Oh, I want to point out some other gems. So. They said that the champion never has a night off, but the very last pay-per-view we watched, Kenny Omega had the night off.
Right.
So Kevin Kelly, you're full of it there. I don't know if that was his line I don't think they feed lines in New Japan. I think they just let him do the stuff. It's not like WWE where there's someone in the microphone all the time.
No.
But his match was full of athleticism. They used everything they had in the book. Every tag team, the double teams, the triple, just shot after shot, everybody hitting their finisher, and finally at the end, Omega and Ibushi hit a double V trigger they called the Golden Trigger to pin Ishii while Okada had been knocked outside. Real fun tag team match, really good stuff. What'd you think of this one?
I liked it. I'm not an Omega fan at all, but I think it was a really good match. I think Omega stepped his game up a little bit. He looks like he's been working out and has gained some strength and some flexibility. Ibushi was good. I enjoyed it.
The funny part about Omega is he does all these really awesome moves, but he still doesn't throw a very good puncher for him.
No, he doesn't.
It amazes me. It's like, how do you do all this really incredible stuff, but this one basic thing you don't do well?
That happens to a lot of people, though, in different areas, but they can do the complicated stuff, but the simple stuff just gets away from them. And I think you're right, because I comment on that every time I watch him.
Yeah, it's like, he'll do this really awesome, like, running knee, or this complicated, his finisher's really odd and complicated, where he has to pick him up on his shoulders and drop him down like a cradle pile driver. But then he throws a forearm, and it looks so weak.
Yeah, like I said last night, he throws it like a girl. I'm like, dude, come on, you need a little more power in there, make it a little more convincing.
Yeah,
but it was a good match.
It was good stuff. And Okada, still looks like he's turned. He acts much more heelish than I remember from his previous matches.
True, I agree.
And I don't know if that's going to be a turn or if it's just changing his character because he felt like he was getting stale or what. But
I don't know, but it fits him. He's doing well with it. Yeah. It's believable. He comes across well with it.
Yeah. So at the end of the match, I didn't write anything down about this, but I'm just going to freestyle, as they say. Omega was basically cutting his promo and talking about the fans and basically just putting over the show, and he does this at the end of each match, and they set up the match for the next pay-per-view. So it's going to be a triple threat between Omega, Ibushi, and Cody Rhodes for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So it was and he flubbed one of his lines, and he even acknowledged it himself. It was pretty. It was the most emotion I've seen in his promos yet. So that's a good thing.
Which makes me wonder about the special bond with the other wrestler that he was with. Maybe they're right, you know, because I mean, he was very animated.
Yes.
And actually had emotion, you know, not flat like he has been in the past. So maybe that wrestler is good for him. Whatever they're doing as far as getting each other motivated. No, don't go there. As far as getting each other motivated is good. It's working. Keep doing it because he was much better.
Yeah. So this show was really solid from top to bottom, and I definitely give a recommendation to go out of your way to watch this one. And so
this is one of the ones that I would say it's worth spending your money on to keep because you will watch it again.
Yeah.
It's real fun. And real fast pace.
Yep. Nothing bad in this one, which for me, that's saying something because I always find the black mark in the white cloud. But that's basically all I got to say. So thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next time.
Take care.